Hi again. I am Fathom, and I am the founder of Other Fiber Creations, and this is me. As a 26-year-old running a crochet business full time, I start a lot of projects that I struggle to finish due to time constraints, due to lack of passion, and sometimes I just forget the project exists. These projects get set aside and end up in my dreaded WIP pile. For those who don't know what that is, WIP, WIP, stands for Work in Progress. I've decided that I am tired of having an endlessly growing pile of unfinished projects, so together, you and I are going to go and tackle it one project at a time. Welcome to Whipped into Shape. Today's projects are this pair of unfinished ponchos from my WIP pile. The first one is a mint and yellow color combo that I really like, and all it's missing is the fringe along the edge to finish it off. The second poncho is in a jewel-toned rainbow color scheme. It only has about half of the body finished if I had to guess from looking at it. I can tell just from looking at the yarn that I used that these are made from Lion Brand Mandala or Lion Brand Cupcake. But what I can't tell is what hook size I need to finish the poncho. To rectify this, I pull out my handy-dandy project logging notebook. I keep track of every single project I finish, as well as notable stats like how much I sell them for, what yarn colors I used, and, most importantly in this case, what hook size I used to finish it. In actuality, the notebook itself is just a large, happy planner notebook that I got on sale. It's linked in the description below if you would like your own. And I mostly utilize this format versus a tech-based one to track these things, since I can add and remove pages to organize it as I see fit. After a good few minutes of searching through my book and talking to the camera about my guesses for the hook size, all of which were in fact wrong, I discovered that I needed to find a 5.5mm hook in order to finish off the poncho. I went to look for one and I came up short, only finding an old, taped up, light up hook from my early LARPing days. I replaced the tape on it since I wasn't raised to be a quitter, and got to work figuring out what I have left to crochet onto the poncho. Doing the math, a finished poncho features 29 rows of a repeating granny stitch pattern. The rainbow poncho was abandoned at 17 rows in, meaning I have 12 more rows to crochet on before I can move on to adding the fringe to the edge of both ponchos at once. So, that's what I spend the first day of this process doing. When I finally finish the body of the poncho, it's the end of my first workday, so I put both unfinished projects back into the WIP pile for the night, and discover my 5.5mm hook sitting 2 shelves up from where I keep the basket. Just my luck, I guess. I make a point to put it away where I can pull it out later, and call it a night. On day 2 of finishing these ponchos off, I am harshly reminded of why I put them into my WIP pile in the first place. Making fringe. I love the look and feel of the fringe I put on these ponchos, but attaching it all by hand leaves me feeling drained. I measure out each length of yarn using my bulky old wallet before cutting it into single strands. Then, I tie them by hand into every other gap in the poncho, working my way around. It would be one thing if this were difficult work, but the main problem for me is that it just does not excite me. It's monotonous, it's repetitive, it's boring work, and that is my biggest weakness as an artist. Despite the struggle, I lock in as best as I can, trying to finish at least one of the 2 ponchos before I go to teach my crochet class that evening. And luckily, I succeed. I kid you not, I quite literally cheered out loud when I finished tying off the last of that fringe. After I finished that first poncho, though, I needed to take a bit of a breather to get in a shower and make sure that I was fully hydrated and fed and ready to go to my class whenever my ride got there. Once I'm all cleaned up and changed, I spot that I have an hour left before it's time for my person driving me to get there. So I do my best to focus in again and knock out as much fringe on the second poncho as I can. I reduce how many wallet wraps per cluster of yarn strands I do, making this poncho feel significantly faster than the previous one. As I work on the second half of the poncho, though, I hit a roadblock that no crochet artist wants to hit. I'm playing Yarn Chicken, and I am 1000% about to lose. So, I finish off the rest of the original yarn for the rainbow poncho, and decide to take the rest of the night to look through my stash for the closest matching yarn I have that might be able to finish it off. The next morning, I grab the yarn I've decided to use to complete the poncho's fringe and get straight to work. I have 13 more clusters left to make, so I create them all and lay them out in front of me, then tie them all at once. It helps the process feel a bit more manageable for me, as well as lets me make the color gradient shift a bit more naturally. I finally get it all tied off, and that means we have finally knocked out 2 projects from the WIP pile. The mint and yellow poncho ended up exactly how I envisioned it would. The colors really pop, and the fringe looks fantastic, especially since it flows really well when you move around while wearing it. I could totally see this paired with more casual outfits, like a long sleeve, plain colored shirt and a pair of cool jeans in order to bring some whimsy and color to your day to day while also not overshadowing the outfit. The muted rainbow poncho definitely gave me a struggle. While I was tying on the fringe, I discovered that the fringe count was off on top of me being out of yarn. So it feels like the fringe is off center a little bit from what I pictured. The color of the fringe wasn't what I had originally intended it to be either. But despite these things that weren't what I originally envisioned, I ended up loving how it turned out, maybe even more than the first poncho. I think these little imperfections, which are more just creative decisions I hadn't originally intended, add a lot of character to this poncho. I could see this being thrown over a more fall-inspired look. Maybe something academic, like a button up and some black slacks that you wear into the office on your way in. You could even wear some cute heeled boots to finish it off. Who knows? I don't go to an office job, so maybe I am talking out of my butt. Struggle to finish projects a lot of the time. The bigger the project, the more I struggle, unless I give myself an incentive, like the subscriber blanket, or knowing it's a commission and that someone is waiting on me. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it so that we can do more of whipping my whip pile into shape. I'm proud of that pun. I hope you know that. All of that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to like, to comment, to subscribe. If you're going to do one of those 3 things, make it subscribing so you can see all the other fun projects we get into. Today's question of the day is, which of the ponchos did you like better? The mint and yellowy one or the muted rainbow one? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to follow me other places, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Ribbler if you'd like my patterns, like my Velveteen Dragon pattern. You can find all that in the description below. And yeah, I leave for like a 5-day trip in literally 2 hours and I haven't finished packing. So I'm going to go do that now because I wanted to finish filming this before I left. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and bye for now.